This is AgGrad Live.
We have all of the different segments within the cotton.
The show that explores what it's really like to work in the ag industry.
So making sure that we get policy and regulatory issues
straight from the people who live it every day. Hey everybody, we're back with another episode of AgGrad Live. We do this every week. We get on Facebook with somebody doing interesting work in the industry of agriculture and just ask them about their job and about what got them to where they are today. And as you'll know, if you've been tuning in here recently, we've been focused on our AgGrad 30 under 30. This past year was the first year we ever did this program where we highlighted 30 individuals, all, of course, under the age of 30, who are already making a big impact on the industry of agriculture. And I had those separated out into categories. And the reason why I'm going into this right now is because we're just about ready to do two things. Number one, to release to you a publication we put together showing these 30 individuals. And then number two, we're going to open nominations up for the very next AgGrad 30 under 30. So some exciting stuff happening right now. Make sure you stay tuned at our website, which is just aggrad.com for that, or the nomination process. We use a website that's 30 under 30, like the number's 30under30.ag. Anyway, we have on the show here today a guest, and I'll bring him on. This is Mr. John Romo. John, how's it going?
Hey, Tim, it's going well here in South Texas.
Yeah, it's sweater weather up here in Idaho. What's it like in South Texas today?
Still about above 90 degrees.
Oh, man.
A little bit of rain. We're supposed to get a cool front, which will bring us down into the 80s, which is it's better than 90 degrees.
Oh, wow. And you're teaching. I know you just came immediately from an FFA meeting. So you're a high school ag teacher and FFA advisor there at Weslaco East High School. When did the school year start for you?
So that started the end of August, and it's my first year in a classroom in Texas, teaching equine science, livestock production, floral design, a little bit of everything. But I'm excited to jump into the classroom and share my experiences with my students.
Cool. And I know you said it's your first time teaching in the classroom in Texas. I know you've taught in a classroom in Ghana. So maybe tell us about that. What brought you to teaching agriculture in Ghana?
Yeah, so after wrapping up at Texas A&M University and being exposed to different international experiences through student organizations and study abroad opportunities, I was fortunate enough to join an organization or be accepted to an organization called AgriCorps. A nonprofit organization that allowed me to teach and serve as a 4-H FFA type advisor and ag teacher and extension agent in rural West Africa, where I spent a year, the academic year of 2014-2015, teaching 7th through 9th grade students.
And tell me about that. If I remember right, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you start like a nursery in the community you were in of some sort?
Yes, sir. Yes. So at the junior high school that I taught at, our 4-H club, which is very similar to FFA here in the States, school-based agricultural education, we started a school entrepreneurship project, which was a cocoa nursery. The community that I lived in was a community of cocoa farmers, and the students, when not at school, would help on the cocoa farms of their parents. So at the school, we started a nursery. We worked with the local extension services to get hybrid cocoa seeds and hybrid palm oil seeds. And that nursery those seedlings were sold back to the community to help fundraise money for the school.
Yeah, and that's something I'm really interested in, and maybe you could shed some light on this. You know, in a lot of these developing countries, many of the farmers are subsistence farmers, and so they're trying to grow enough, to feed their family and then sell enough to have what they need to get through the year. And so the idea probably, and I'm guessing, and you could probably shed more light on this, of growing a tree that's going to go years of getting into production, is that kind of are there too many barriers to doing that? And I guess what caused you to say, hey, there's a problem here where we need a cocoa nursery, and that it would work?
Yeah, great question. I think that it wasn't a matter of me providing a solution, but connecting the dots within the community. Spent a lot of time observing, interacting with farmers that have been doing this for generations. There aren't many new cocoa farmers because, like you said, it takes years, several years, at least a minimum of 3 years for a cocoa tree to produce cocoa pods or the fruit. So a lot of the farmers that we worked with have been cocoa farmers for generations. And so through interactions with farmers, parents, school teachers, and leaders, as well as extension agents, connecting the dots and really coming up with a solution as a whole. And that's how the nursery came about. So giving that extra push and input from the local resources.
Nice. And so you kind of connected dots within your community, like you said, and you thought, okay, well, this would be a good idea. It's something they want. It's not something I'm bringing to them.
Right.
How'd you make it happen, though? I wouldn't know the first thing about, can I just go cut off, branches from a cocoa plant and like put them in some sort of medium and they'll, I didn't know the first thing. I wouldn't, at least. So how did you do that once you knew it was a good idea, something they wanted?
Yeah, well, just in case you weren't aware, we don't have any cocoa trees here in South Texas, so I had no idea.
It's 90 degrees in October, so you just never know.
Yeah, and it's actually raining and quite humid right now too.
Okay.
But no cocoa trees. I had no idea either. My expertise is not in cocoa, but through visiting the local extension services, working with the Ministry of Agriculture, and building relationships within not only the community that I was living in, but throughout the districts, the political districts, and working with various entities in observing and just connecting the right people to come up with all of that, because I was not sure. I'd never had a cocoa nursery or a palm oil nursery before. So asking a lot of questions, and then being comfortable and being okay with failure and setbacks, and just pushing through.
Very cool. And so once you started, sorry about the cocoa nursery. I know I'm kind of hung up on it, but I just think
it's really cool. It's something that I get asked a lot, especially about my experience teaching and working in rural Ghana.
Yeah, because it speaks to the fact that you are not just lecturing in the classroom and not just saying, hey, you need to learn X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C. It's like, hey, how can we start to solve problems through agriculture in the community? And I just think that's so awesome. Well, so once you got it going, how interested were people in actually like planting the trees and establishing a cocoa grove, cocoa orchard? I'm not sure what the right word is there, but how interested were they in kind of getting after it?
So it really helped with logistically. The local extension office that provided these hybrid seedlings was about 45 minutes one way. So farmers would have to pay for a taxi fare to travel 45 minutes to the local extension services to get these cocoa seedlings from the hybrid cocoa seedlings from the extension services. However, with the nursery located in the community, that would cut the trip. They would not have to travel 45 minutes, an hour and a half round trip to the extension services. The seedlings were there. So the fare that they would have paid to visit the extension services was now into the nursery. So they were highly sought hybrid seeds that produced cocoa pods faster. So the community was extremely receptive and understood that they were coming from the local extension services. Yeah.
So cool. Well, I know AgriCorps is less than a year commitment. It's one of the differentiating factors between it and Peace Corps, which is, I think, 2 years. But so after your year was over, you had the option to kind of, come back to the U.S. And kind of go on to whatever you wanted to do next. But you chose to kind of stay with AgriCorps. So talk to us about kind of the capacity you continue to work with AgriCorps in after your 1 year commitment as a fellow.
Yeah. Most definitely. I was fortunate enough to take on the director of recruitment role after my first year in Ghana. So spent a year with 6 other fellows in Ghana, teaching ag, working with 4-H Ghana, the local host organization that we partnered with. And then I moved back to the States for the 2015-2016 academic year and visited over 25 universities and 5 different conferences in 11 weeks to share my experience and continue to promote the need for school-based agricultural education in developing countries. So recruiting fellows for the following year, assisting to help develop a curriculum for both 4-H Ghana and AgriCorps, and lay the foundation for our fellowship program, and using my experience as an inaugural fellow, being the first class of fellows to participate in the AgriCorps fellowship. So recruiting, traveling all over the United States, visiting land-grant universities, interacting with professors, faculty and staff all throughout the states, and engaging with a lot of awesome people in the industry that have been exposed to all aspects of the industry. So that was a lot of fun, major takeaways there.
Nice. And I know, after you had worked as a recruiter for a while, you decided to actually go back full time to Ghana. What led you back, and was that a tough decision? Because I think a lot of people think like, okay, I could go abroad for a period of time, but then once their period of time is over, they're kind of done. What called you back to working in country?
Yeah, I jumped on the idea as soon as the position for the director of programs in West Africa with AgriCorps opened up. I was at Oklahoma State at the time, wrapping up my master's degree fall of 2016, and that position opened up. I spoke to Trent McKnight, the founder of AgriCorps, and missed my first year and the experiences and the amount of knowledge that was gained during that year. The learning curve was huge for me, and I craved that. The interactions with local nationals in country, with working with FAS, USDA and FAS in country, and other projects with USAID as well in Ghana. And so I jumped on the opportunity and moved back to Ghana in January 2017, and was also able over a period of 2 years to work with our fellows in Liberia. So traveling back and forth between Liberia and Ghana, and working with 4-H Liberia as well.
That is great. And through being an inaugural fellow to working on the recruitment side to working as a director of programs, you've seen a lot of people, commit to international ag development. What have you noticed among those that has worked? The people who tend to really take to it, because I would imagine what they have in their head and what actually happens in real life aren't always the same thing. You know what I mean? I think maybe living in a community and inserting yourself in a culture that is totally foreign to you may sound fun and exotic, but then once you get into it, you're like, okay, now I kind of want to go back. So what have you noticed about people that seem to really take to it, like yourself, and really thrive in that atmosphere versus those that maybe don't as much?
Yeah, being able to, I guess, before you arrive in country, you might have high expectations or plans that you are creating before you even arrive in a community that you don't even know anything about. So taking the time to listen and to learn, observe, is huge, because there are a lot of resources and a lot of opportunity within the communities that already exist. It doesn't take a foreigner to come in to make that happen, and the learning and skills that are gained during the experience is much higher in the fellowship aspect as well. But all of our fellows have 4-H and FFA experience, or majority of them have had. And I think what keeps them going is being able to share their experiences as a 4-H or FFA member. For myself, I do not come from an agriculture background. My first experience or exposure to agriculture was an FFA. So wanting to take the organization and school-based agricultural education, something that's impacted me locally, and being able to transfer that globally or internationally is what kept me going and helped me maintain my motivation and passion for agricultural education and working with AgriCorps.
Nice. And not being from an ag background, what led you into FFA?
Well, I heard about the course. I decided to sign up. I did not know anything about FFA. I was not a junior FFA member. I had no siblings that were involved in FFA. But once I started learning more about the organization, I raised livestock. I showed pigs and heifers, participated in livestock judging and plant identification contests, and loved it. And that's what kind of shifted my career path and life trajectory to study agricultural education at A&M and continue a career focused on agriculture.
Cool. And that career sort of like led you full circle from Weslaco to Texas A&M to Ghana and Stillwater, Oklahoma State for a master's, and then back to Weslaco to teach. Are you able to incorporate anything from your experience with AgriCorps in your teaching for your students?
Yes, most definitely. Every day there is something that I can pull from my experiences in Ghana, my student teaching experiences, graduate school in Oklahoma, or meetings in DC for AgriCorps. I think it brings a lot more to the classroom, and the students' interest is high with the fact that they understand my background and the experiences that I've had. And so every day is a new question that they have about something related to Ghana or international education or agricultural education.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, that would be, I would have, in high school, I would have just eaten that up as far as, understanding what's going on in the other part of the world. Because I really hadn't left my local area very much at all growing up. So I just think that's so cool that you can bring that to the classroom. Now, if you could kind of, now that you had a little bit of chance to kind of reflect on your time at AgriCorps and getting your master's, now teaching a little bit, if you could point to one thing or a couple of things that have really helped you in your career that might help others listening or watching, what comes to mind?
I think the first thing would be just to be comfortable or be okay with stepping out of your comfort zone. A quote that I go by, or that sticks to me every time I'm trying to make a decision, whether it's quitting my full-time job to move to West Africa or coming back to South Texas to teach ag, is without deviation from the norm, progress is impossible. And so stepping out of your comfort zone, expecting to fail, embracing failure, and focusing on your successes as well to continue to motivate you. So without me stepping out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't be where I am today, and wouldn't have had the experiences that I've been able to have throughout my career so far.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. On the failure thing, one thing that's hard is like when you're in it, it just seems catastrophic. Do you have any tips for kind of rebounding or being able to channel that into, temporary failure into future success?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, say that again.
Do you have any tips for how you might be able to kind of channel temporary failure into future success rather than letting it just kind of like knock you out of the game?
Yeah, giving yourself the time or the opportunity to reflect on areas of improvement and what you can do different in the future for whatever that failure may be. What can be done differently, and getting feedback from mentors and your peers around you, so that it doesn't seem as catastrophic. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what's similar or different? You can take it whichever direction or both if you want, between teaching in Ghana with AgriCorps and teaching in South Texas.
I think there are a lot of similarities. Students around the world, although backgrounds or cultures may be different, students are very similar, and everyone wants to learn and wants the opportunity to learn and to have exposure to new skills, and so I think there's just a lot of similarities between students. Yeah.
And so are you on, I know some ag teachers are on a 9-month contract. And so, they kind of at the summertime, they get the summer off and then they go back to school. Are all ag teachers 12-month contract, or how does that work for you as far as, are you doing stuff year round, or is there any sort of a break?
Right. So I'm on a 12-month contract, working as the FFA advisor. As I mentioned, we have a school farm here. And so I work Saturdays as well with prospect shows or livestock shows. And I also have another club that falls under our agricultural education umbrella here in Weslaco, the Greener Tomorrow Club that focuses on conservation ag, wildlife and conservation, recycling, environmental sciences as well. So both working in conjunction with FFA, but a 12-month contract is what I'm working with now.
Okay, and so is that a club that's part of FFA? What is it called? The Greener? What is it?
The Greener Tomorrow. So it's part of it's a committee under our FFA chapter for community service, but it also opens up to students that are not enrolled in an agriculture course. So more of an advocacy opportunity for other students not enrolled in an ag course. So working with 2 different clubs right now, but primarily FFA, of course.
Wow. And are you the only ag teacher at the school?
I'm not. I have a teaching partner. My teaching partner has been teaching ag for 30 years. This is his 30th year, and this is my first. So it's been fun getting to hear his stories, learn from him, and just learning the tricks of the trade. This is completely different from teaching in rural Ghana as well, as far as resources and the number of students. I had 50 students in a junior high school in Ghana, and right now I have 150 students at Weslaco East.
Wow. Yeah. So, he wasn't your ag teacher, was he?
He was not, but my ag teacher is still in South Texas. He's about 20 minutes away, and I've kept in contact with him throughout my career, and he's been trying to get me to come back to Weslaco to teach ag, and this was the year that I decided to do that and get some experience in the classroom, share my experiences with my students, and like you said, just full circle.
Right. Good for you. And now you mentioned kind of the farm and these clubs. It sounds like a full-time job, but I know you're probably coaching a team or 2 as well. Do you coach like these competitions that the FFA has?
Yes. We have plant identification here in South Texas. We just had that contest take place. Right now we're training for our LDEs, public speaking events, a chapter quiz, ag advocacy, ag issues. So helping with all of those teams.
Man, that's a ton of work. I really, really respect and admire what all of you ag teachers do, because you really go the extra mile so that the students can have a great experience. On 150 students, that's a tall order. So anyway, I appreciate it. As you kind of look to this school year, your first year teaching in Texas, what's most exciting to you?
I think working with the students and experiencing those aha moments when they find something that they're passionate about within the FFA. A few students are especially our newer students, our first year members that don't know the plethora of opportunities that are available within FFA. When they find that one contest or the one animal that they really enjoy raising. So being able to make sure that they find their niche and they're able to become active members and better understand agriculture.
I got to ask you something, because you know, from my experiences with you, you're always so positive and laid back. I've never seen you like really fired up, but I would imagine like a classroom full of, you know, kids that are all like bouncing off the walls going nuts. How do you get their attention without like yelling and, you know, popping a blood vessel?
I think that they feed off of my energy. Sometimes I'm the one that's bouncing off the walls or standing on a table or desk as I'm explaining something. But I think that when I bring up something and a story and experience, whether that is in Ghana, Liberia, or traveling as a recruiter, sharing a moment or story always seems to capture their attention. But I do have those days, but I continue to channel that energy into my lesson and keep moving forward. So, but I have some great students for the most part. Great students.
Good. Good. Well, congrats again. AgGrad 30 under 30 couldn't have happened to a better guy. So really appreciate all that you've done for agriculture here and abroad, and all that you're going to do. So I'm excited for you, and congrats. And thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I know it's already a later evening for you coming straight from FFA chapter meeting, but really appreciate this, John, and best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tim.
All right, for those of you tuning in, if you didn't catch all of our interview with John Romo, you can do so either on our YouTube channel or by downloading this podcast. It's called AgGrad Live. And you can learn more about this and next year's 30 under 30, about nominating next year's at aggrad.com. So check out the website there. Thank you again, John. We'll go ahead and sign off for this week.
Thank you for joining AgGrad Live. Visit aggrad.com. That's AGGRAD. To join the community, create your profile, and learn more about careers in the agriculture industry.